I don't know how much you have struggled throughout this year, throughout this 2024, but one thing I know is that God is promising us restoration this month, and I really, really want you to, connect. It doesn't matter what you have been through, what you have struggled with. You may have experienced a lot of downfalls in your business, nothing is working, everything, you just see yourself struggling. One thing God is doing in this December is that He has promised us that He is going to restore. Hi guys, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel after a long time. Alright, if you're joining my YouTube channel, I'm very excited to have you here. I'm officially welcoming you guys to December. I'm sorry that I'm doing this video late, and I really want to share a few things about what has been happening. If you're a Christian, I don't know, and you have the spirit of discernment, of course you're going to know that something has been happening and God is doing something, and that is restoration. God has been talking about restoration, how He's going to restore everything that you have lost throughout the year. I don't know if you have watched, if you've been paying attention to the media and you're listening to other men of God, you see that everybody is in tune with this particular thing about restoration. Alright, so I'm sorry that I have delayed this video for a very long time. Actually, November 30th, that's the last day of November, I was so excited to enter December 1st. And I remember on my status, I was just saying that, I was just praying and saying that no matter what you have lost, God is going to restore it. And it doesn't matter how much you've lost, or those things that did not work out the way that you wanted it to work. Maybe so many things failed, you tried a lot of things, it failed, you did a lot of things, like things didn't really just go your way, a lot of downs, a lot of fallings, there were some things you were believing God for and you didn't see that. And in this December, God has been promising restoration, honestly. And I'm just sorry for doing this video now, because I would have done this video around December 1st, and the reason I'm sharing this because I want you to connect. I want you to connect, and for everybody who is going to connect to this video, I'm believing God that you are going to recover whatever you have lost throughout this year 2024. I want to assure you that God is bigger than what we think. Okay, if you have not grown your faith to the point that you can trust God for anything, this is the right time for you to do it, because it doesn't even take God up to a minute. God can change your life within seconds. That's how big God is. And the way we know God is dependent on the knowledge we have about Him. And for me, I've actually grown my faith to the point that I trust God for anything, and God always believes. How much faith do you have to see God restore everything you lost? I want you to tap into what God is doing now. I don't want anybody to be left out. God has promised you restoration for every single thing you have lost this year. And why I'm saying this, because there have been a lot of confirmation. I can tell you that November 30, I was so excited. I didn't know why I was excited. My spirit was so, I don't know, I was just praying on my status. If I don't know people that saw it, like I was just saying, and I didn't know I was going to pray that. I was just saying, those things were just coming from my spirit. I was like, no matter what, God is going to restore everything. It doesn't matter what you have lost. I just saw myself praying that, as we entered December 1st. So this is a time for God to help you restore and recover everything that you have lost. And I want you to tap into this. Okay, and December, so that December 1st was Sunday, if you can remember, and we all went to church. And when I went to church, my pastor said that December was the month of recovery, and he took it really seriously. We prayed a lot, and one of the things we prayed about was that any source that the enemy is using to steal away from us, that God is going to destroy it. That was one of the things we prayed about. We also prayed that God will help us recover everything that we have lost. When I came in and heard him, I was laughing. I started smiling because it was in tune with what I heard. Like I knew about this restoration thing before we even entered December. So when I came and my pastor said recovery, I knew that this was a confirmation. And because God is doing something like this, I don't want any of you to, to lose or to miss out of it. So I don't know what is particular to you. I don't know the problem that maybe you have been experiencing, some things that has not happened the way you wanted it. Maybe you've lost a lot of things. Yes, I know that there are lots of people who have lost, who have believed God for some things, and those things haven't happened. This is the right time for you to connect with God as God is restoring everything. I want to quickly share the story of Job. Job was a man that really loved God, and you see that he lost a lot of things, his possession, he lost his wealth, and at a point he started getting angry at God, becoming impatient that why his suffering was so long. And in those times, let me tell you, God saw him. God knew all the sufferings that he was going through. So this is me trying to tell you that God knows the stage where you are. He knows that these things are happening to you, and I want you to connect, because God can restore everything that you have lost. And we saw that Job went through a lot of problems, and in all these things that Job went through, he never doubted God. Like, he kept on trusting God. We could hear him say that, I know my Redeemer liveth. And that is to say that you're going through certain things in your life, you're passing through a lot of difficult situations, and they are not changing. One thing you must have, one thing that should not change, is that you must keep trusting God. Keep trusting God for that thing. I know it's not easy, but understand that God is seeing you. God is seeing you. God is seeing the situation. God is seeing that thing that you are believing in. God is, sometimes you may not even know God's plan. You may not even know why these particular things are. And there's one thing that is sure: when you trust God, there's usually victory at the end of it. Now we look at Job chapter 42 verse 10. We see Job rejoicing because God had restored everything that he lost. He was even saying that God had given him more than he lost. God exceeded whatever he lost. That's in Job 42 verse 10. He said God restored his fortune, and gave him more than what he asked for. Like, if you can go back and confirm it, or you can even read the story of Job, how he lost and God restored him. So the essence of this video is just to let you tap into what God is doing now. I know that some of us may be believing God for a job, may be believing God for for so many things in our lives, and it's not happening. Maybe it has taken so much time that it's normal for you to start losing faith. But one thing I want to encourage you is that don't let the devil steal your faith from you. It pays to actually keep trusting God. Trust God in this particular time that God has promised us restoration. So please connect. No matter what you are believing God for, just speak to God and speak to him. Talk to him to restore everything that you have lost. And I know that God is a faithful God, and when he promises something, he does it. That's one thing about God. God is so faithful. He's not like the human beings that when they promise you, they fail you. But God is faithful, that he's going to restore everything, whether it's your relationship, whether it is a job, whether it is your finances, whether it is your business. God is restoring everything. Like, if you're believing God for anything, please keep standing. Don't let the devil steal from you. It doesn't matter how long. God has a plan. And I always encourage people that when you have something that is not working the way it's supposed to work, one thing you must make sure is that thing, you are hanging it on to God. You are actually trusting. There are so many people that are not trusting God, but they say they are trusting God. When you look at how they behave, if you see that their trust is in so many other things. Okay, faith has works. You don't just say that you have faith and you are not doing anything about it. I'm not saying that you should trust a man. Of course, you should not trust a man, but make effort towards what you are believing God for. For example, now you are looking for a job will not meet you inside your house. What you need to do is to go to some offices, pray to God, ask God for favor. I always ask God for favor. There was time I was expecting something, I wanted to do something. I just asked God for favor and I went all out for that thing, and I just saw God, just meeting that need in me. When you look at Job's situation, Job understood God's will. Job knew that God had plans for him. He understood that that God knows him and God has a perfect plan for him, and that was why it was easier for him to trust God. When you know that God has a will for you in your life, like, because God says in his word that for I know the plans I have for you. You that you are watching this video, God has a plan for your life. Every human being that has been born, I don't care where you are, I don't care the mistakes you have made, but there's a plan for your life. So when you understand that there's a will that God has for you, it will be easier for you to trust God, especially when things don't go your way. And it will be very, very, very easy because you trust in God and you trust in his will. You trust in his word that says that for I know the plans I have for you, thoughts of good, not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. That thing that you think that is the best plan for you, when you look at God's plan, you find out that God's plan is way bigger than what you can think. Yes, God's plan is way bigger. So I see people who make decisions for themselves, without even regarding God, not knowing that God's plan for them is way much bigger. So now when you understand that God has a will, God has a plan for your life, it will be easier for you to trust God through processes. So now, do you believe that there is a will for your life? Do you know that? Do you believe that God has a plan for your life? Do you even believe the word that says, Jeremiah 29:11, that says, for I know the plans I have for you, thoughts of good, not of evil, to give you a future and a hope, to give you an expected end. Do you actually believe that there is a plan? Because it is when you believe that there is a plan for your life, you will know that anything that happens, it could be part of God's plan for your life, and it will help you to trust God better. Okay, do you actually believe that? Because that was one of the things that made Job to keep trusting God, because he trusted God's will for his life. And that's why even when God took away every single thing that he had, he kept on trusting God. And we saw that in that Job 42 verse 10, we saw God restoring every single thing that he lost. In fact, Job said that God had given him more than what he actually lost. That's how God is. When God gives you, he will give you abundance. When God gives you, when you trust God and wait for him, he will give you much more than you ask for. Our human mind is so small. It's so small, and you can't compare it to God. So you might be thinking, oh, I want this kind of flower, I want this kind of thing, and God is telling you, I want to give you the whole garden, I want to give you everything, because God's thought is higher than ours. Trust God's will for your life. It's actually a blessing for you to trust God's will. That thing God wants for you, allow it to just happen, and just relax and trust God's will. And the aim of this video is just to open your eyes to knowing that anything that is happening now in your life, that God sees it, and God has promised us restoration now. He has promised us that in this December, he's going to restore every single thing that we have lost. And I want you to connect. If you are looking for a job, you are looking for whatever, this is the right time for you to connect to whatever. I am going to end this video with a prayer, praying for you that whatever that thing is, I don't care how big it is, all you need to do is to just connect your faith, because I know God is doing something. He's doing plenty things for people, and you just need to connect. If you have lost your finances, you've lost your business, you've lost relationships, like meaningful relationships that have been a blessing to you, you've lost your job, I just want you to know that God is bigger and bigger and bigger. God is bigger than your imagination. He's bigger than your prayer request, and he's able, exceedingly able, to give you much more than what you can ask for, think, or even imagine. And I just want to say a prayer over everybody that has watched this video to the end, and I'm saying that you receive all that you have lost. You